Good afternoon. First of all, I thank the organizers of this conference for arranging this seminar in this particular theme, nationalism and democracy in India. And so there should be a courage to hold this kind of a seminar in this time. The political time we live. So I thank the management of the college, the principal, and all the organizing committee of this conference, and especially my friend Munir. So we are meeting after a longer time. I think we met in JNU, and after that, maybe after 10 years, we are meeting today. And I'm very pleased the hospitality given by the college, especially the principal madam and vice principal madam, and faculty members from diverse departments, chemistry, history, and I had a nice conversation with Anis sir in the morning, and with Miss Ria madam. So why I wanted to come in person is I wanted to meet people. So I am against online programs, online talks. If at all not possible for somebody to turn up, then it is okay, we can have online things. And this all started because of COVID. So before that, we never thought of online programs. Now we have this offline and online. Earlier, the seminars are always offline. So when we speak online, nobody listens. Even directly, if somebody comes, nobody listens. Okay, that you all know very well. Okay. Why? So Madam introduced me, and I think Miss Ria also introduced me from folklore department. What somebody from folklore department going to speak in a conference organized by political science? Okay, if you see this brochure, you might wonder why somebody from folklore coming to speak about a nation and a democracy. So that's a very interesting question. I also told Munir, why don't you invite somebody from political science proper so that they can speak better than me in any ways. But I think he is very keen inviting me because of the language question that we are going to speak. And I hope I do justice for including me here, at least to some extent. So I try to think about the nation, language, and region, democracy. These are the nationalism. These are the key terms the whole day the seminar is going to address. So when we became nation, India as a country, when it became a nation, so country is different from nation. Okay, so country, anything can be a country. In Malayalam we say Nadu means okay, Nadu evada. So Nadu also means country. In Tamil, Nadu, Tamil Nadu. So Tamilagam. So Nadu means country. So any territory can become a country. But the same thing cannot be possible in terms of nation. Nation needs something else. And same thing, nationalism also. So I think this nation and nationalism came into being, I think maybe around 15th century onwards or 16th century onwards in Western Europe, especially in the countries like England, Germany, France, and these kind of countries. And this is a particular relationship with the language. So up to that time, the Latin was the dominant language of the Roman Empire. After the fall of Roman Empire, the language Latin also got a little bit corrupted, like our present-day Malayalam or Tamil or Hindi. So that time there was a revival of Latin by the humanists like Cicero. So they tried to recreate the original literary high Latin of the previous time in the 15th century. And I think around that time, due to the industrialization process happening across the Europe, so every state like England or France or Italy, so there is a kind of a development of vernaculars like English. English is coming from Anglo-Saxon, Latin, and then English is coming the there was a pre-English and then English. We all know only English, but there is also history of English, how English became a language that we speak today. So around this time, the merchants, they may not be able to speak Latin. They will be speaking in the local languages, the English or French or in their own area, whatever the dominant local language. And when they try to enter their business accounts and everything, they enter in their the local language. And they don't need the person who is expertised in Latin to enter because nobody understands. So the Latin actually associated with the elite people, and the vernacular languages like French, English, they are with the middle class or the mostly common people. So this particular association with the language, later there was a flourishing of print capitalism that Benedict Anderson talks about in Imagined Communities. So around 15th century, I think by 1500, there were 2 crore books published in the languages of French or English or German. So by 1600, it was like 20 crores. So there is a flourishing of books in the vernacular languages. Okay, so people earlier, the mode of communication is through oral medium. Later, it becomes a written medium. So everybody who are accessible to read a book, they are able to read and share a similar feeling. So this is where the nation emerges. So there was no nation earlier. The nation is imagined through print capitalism. The capitalism and the invention of printing technology, they both together created this kind of a print nationhood. So when you read history, the French movement, the national movement, it is in the 1770s. So if you take all the European countries, it is somewhere around this period, either before that or after that. So there is a contribution from language, capitalism and printing technologies. If you come to India, the same period, I think by the 1500 onwards, there are many books came into appear. I think from 1550s to 1600, there were very small. I think Tamil is the first language who got into print. And later, Bengali, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada, Marathi, all these languages, Hindi, all these languages came into print. So the first book printed is in Lisbon, I think in Germany. That is in Roman script, not in Tamil. But in Goa, it was printed, the first book, I think Thambiran Vanakkam, it was printed in Tamil. And later, there was a few printing presses established in Koilan, Ambalakad, in Tamil Nadu, in Kayalpattanam. So slowly, earlier the Catholic missionaries, they established the print just for the propagation of the values of Bible. So in order to give the native people who are actually recent converts, to give them some understanding about the Bible stories and the values of Christianity, they actually printed. But the print industry, the printing technology produced something else. So people from other religions, they like Hindu, so we call Hindu, because there was no Hindu at that time. So they also started printing the books, printing what are available in manuscripts, like palm leaf manuscripts. So the first thing got printed is a folklore. Okay, so like stories, Tenali Raman, Vikramaditya stories, and then the same time literary text, dictionaries. So you take any language, Tamil or Bengali or Hindi, Malayalam or Telugu. So from 1600 onwards, I think by 1800, there is a flourishing of text on various themes. So if you are a serious literary scholar of Malayalam or Tamil, you got to look at this period very carefully. So there is something of this localness is emerging the same period in India also. So the colonialism, the actual capturing of power is also happening around this time. By 1857, we are becoming officially part of the English government, colonial English government. And so by the same time, if you look at the scenario, I think I have to thank really Baburaj sir. and I am really, he covered part of my talk. I think mostly he covered my part of my talk, though I can understand a little bit Malayalam, here and there I connect with it. But the thing is, so when India got freedom in 1947, so we have become a country, and Pakistan already got separated, so due to the partition. And it is a conglomeration of states, different states, and the language question was one of the debates happened for a longer time, not just 1 year, not just in 1947. I think it started in 1910s. So in 1918, there was a Dakshin Bharat Hindi Prachar Sabha in 1918. So this Sabha is particularly established to propagate Hindi among the South Indian states, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and Andhra Pradesh. So the language thing was initiated very early. Though the Congress or other leaders, they never thought, there was no imagination that India will get freedom, but they were imagining a nation on a singular language. So for language to come, there are 4 different factors, I think 3 different factors. Either you should have a same territory, region. You belong to a, I'm generally saying, you belong to a particular region, or you share a religion, okay, particular religion, or you speak a particular language. But India is a different country. It is multi-religious, it is multilinguistic, multi-regional, and multi-caste, okay. Except all other European nations, we have one important factor called caste, okay. So when the Congress and other leaders of the modern architects of Indian nation, they never worried about caste, they never worried about religion, language. They are worried about the region and religion. For them, Hindu is the only religion, and India, the whole region, needs to be united by any means. So when you read the Samasthanas, how Hyderabad brought into Indian territory, within the Indian territory, how Kashmir is becoming part of this thing, how Goa is becoming part of this thing. So these are all, there are so many violence, there are so many, so that history students, you might read into those things, okay. I'm not going to discuss about that. But so what about how the caste and language was dealt with? It was made silent. There was no, like nobody was willing to talk, but instead there was the thing that, so we are going to protest against, we are going to fight against the Britishers. So we should not have any kind of a disparities among ourselves. So you South Indians accept Hindi as the only language. So you learn Hindi and become part of the nation. But so this is the dominant trend. If you look at, okay, there are only 4 states which we are not, which is totally not related, not anywhere related to Hindi. But if you look at the non-Hindi speaking states, Kashmir, Punjab, Marathi, Odia, Bengali, Assam, and this whole Assam means all northeastern states. So numerically or geographically, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat also there is a different language, Gujarati, and Rajasthani, that's also a different language. So only these 4 states will become part of the Hindi hotline. The rest of the things are all different languages, okay. So they don't, Bengalis don't accept Hindi, Marathis don't accept Hindi, Punjabis, they never accept Hindi. It's not South Indians. So this is the myth they constructed. These only 4 South Indian states are against us, okay. So that is the first myth they constructed. So when the language, and in 1925, Mahatma Gandhi, he somehow managed, he influenced the Congress to accept that Hindi is the official language of the country. So later, when these elections are happened in the 1930s onwards. And in 1937, when Rajagopalachari was the CM of Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, he introduced the bill that Hindi should be made official language in Tamil Nadu. But the people like Periyar, I think you may heard about E.V. Ramasamy Periyar. So he was part of the Justice Party and later he founded Dravidar Kalagam. So he opposed it to the core. So Rajagopalachari, popularly called as Rajaji has to give up the demand. So it was given up. So there was a agitation, very strong agitation against Hindi in 1930s itself. And before that also there was a debate within Tamil Nadu against Hindi. And in 1940s, Periyar actually proposed a secession, that the South Indian states should be separated from the Indian nation, and it should be termed as Dravida Nadu. And he was arrested in Bellary, but though he was arrested, the protests were going on, I think he was arrested in Bellary, Karnataka, not in Tamil Nadu, but the protests were going on all over South India in support of Periyar's statement. And 1947, I think just before, prior to 1947, there was a committee, in this, I think 1949, there was a committee to decide about the language question. So, on Ramalingam Chettiar, he says, we accepted, though with a reservation for larger cause, we accepted Hindi, but when we come to Delhi, we are strangers. It is not just linguistically we are strangers, that I don't speak Hindi, but you people made us strangers to this country. We don't belong to this space, this Delhi, Indian capital, which we are also part of it. So that was a statement made by, I think, all of us who are visits Delhi, who are all part of JNU or Delhi University. We feel the same, that we don't belong here. Because it is not that we don't belong there, the space itself makes us alien to that area, that we don't need to, that we are not, you are not belonged here. Okay? So suppose I come to Kerala, I don't feel different. If I go to Bangalore, I don't feel different. I go to Hyderabad, I don't feel different. But when I go to Delhi, I feel different. It is not that the first time when I went to, I didn't feel anything. But after 7 years of my stay in JNU, I feel different. Yeah, I am a Tamilian coming from the south of India. My skin itself says that you don't belong here. Okay? And the moment they say you are from Kerala, you are from Tamil Nadu, you are from Karnataka, they say, oh, Madrasi. That's only one term they know, Madrasi. That's a very bad term, like Malayalis say Pandi about Tamilians. So it's like that. Okay? So the nation did not accommodate other linguistic communities part of the nation project. So what is this nationalism about? So I will come to that point. Okay, there was a discussion and there was one R.V. Tulegar, I think he's from UP. So he says, so Hindi is the official language and national language. So there was one Rao, Dhruv Reddy, the Guru Reddy Dio. So he says, are you saying national language? Because so far we agreed on official language. We didn't say national language. So Dulekar says, I say it official language and it is national language. So I think you may belong to a different nation, but I belong to the nation of India. That's a Hindu nation and Hindustani nation. See, these ideas were floated in 1947 when the discussion on language. So he says very vehemently, I belong to the nation, Indian nation, that's a Hindu nation and Hindustani nation. So Hindi, Hindu, Hindustan or Hindutva, it's all floated by Congress, not by BJP. Okay? It's all Congress leaders. Okay? They were actually proposing this idea. So, and Gandhi only made, he actually made Congress to accept that Hindi is the official language of India. So, then there is a Shankar Rao Dio from Maharashtra. He is a vehement supporter of Hindi. But he says, if you mean by national language, one language for the whole country, I am against it. Though he is a supporter of Hindi, he says, if you propose one language to be the national language of all, the entire country, I am against it. India is a nation and I am an Indian, but I speak Marathi. So this is come from the same Congress quarter and they are against it. So likewise, there are many Shankar Rao Dio. So he is from Maharashtra. So everybody says the cultural nationalism. So we have to have a similar culture, a national culture, they say. So Dio actually counters that point. Nobody tells us what this word culture means. Today, as it is interpreted and understood as, it only means the domination of the few over the many. So only few, numerically fewer, if you take the population wise, the Hindi heartland is comparatively very low compared to others, the rest of the India who doesn't speak Hindi. Okay, so there is another angle to this, the so-called Hindi heartland. If you take Bihar, there are 5 different languages. Maithili, Bhojpuri, same thing with UP, same thing like Bundeli, there is a Awadhi. So these 3 big states like Gujarat, Bihar, UP, they have, I think, every state, there's a larger geography, so every state has different languages. If you want a very regional, very recent phenomenon, Telangana struggle. So the entire state of Andhra Pradesh spoke only Telugu, but Telangana people, they wanted separate. So region-wise, the language-wise, it may look similar, but they are against Andhra. And this problem, so just because the state emerged in 2014, it doesn't mean that the struggle was not there. I think it was there very much in 1960s. And that time, Hyderabad was made as the capital of Andhra Pradesh so that the Telangana struggle will saturate. So here, the region is very much important, okay? So in the language debate. So in the same way, when Hindi was made official language of the country, I think except Tamil Nadu, all other states, somehow they accepted it and they practiced, they implemented somehow. The major problem was the Hindi states like UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, because all the regional dialects, it is evaporated, it is getting destroyed, so it is in the distinct. So it is going to be eliminated in the long run. So Hindi occupying the center stage and all other local dialects. So I come from folklore discipline. Every region has different folklore. I think somebody spoke about this culture. So I think Muhammad Aswas, I think he spoke about the cultural diversity we have. So the Muslim, when we speak Muslims, he said, the Muslims are not uniform Muslims. Every regions in the Muslims are different. So same thing, even the caste will be a different. I remember one incident in Mangalapuram temple. So it is part of the Theni district and Idukki district. I was there once as a journalist. So there was a fight between the 2 group of people. So Malayalis and Tamilians, they fought. So when I inquired, it is a Chettiar communities on both sides. Malayalam Chettiars and Tamil Chettiars, they fought about which temple belongs to whom. So there are only 2 temples. It's not a temple. There are 2 kind of it is in a demolished condition. They somehow managed, Mangala Devi temple. So then there was an agreement that, okay, you take this, the Tamilians take this temple, we will take that temple. So there was a procedure. You enter into the Malayalam area, you come out in, it is like, this complex is like this only. Like this entry, you come through this. So this is a Malayalam entry. And when you go out, it's a Tamil entry, okay? Tamil exit. So same community, because of their language, because of their state affiliation, they fight with each other, okay? So emotions are different, okay? Just because we belong to same community, just because we belong to same language, just because we share same religion, we may not share same emotions. These things are very different. So in the Indian nation, I think even still now the BJP is taking that question, language question, and they try to impose Hindi. I think the rest of the state doesn't have any problem. We have a problem. Tamil Nadu people, we have a problem because so far we didn't implement. I think we won't implement Hindi as a language in Tamil Nadu. So as far as DMK is in power, okay. but who knows what happens in the future. Okay, so the nation, when it emerged, when the India as a nation, it emerged, it was not a nation proper. The nation form, as a form, it doesn't emerge, or it doesn't germinate in proper way, because it does not accommodate different linguistic communities, different religious communities, and different regional communities. So then there was a debate. We can reorient the states based on language. So that's where we have the Malayali speaking state emerged, Kerala, or Kannada speaking state, Karnataka, and Andhra Pradesh emerged. So in the Telangana, by the time Telangana was saturated, and it came to existence in 2014. But what about the caste? What about the religion? No, there was no debate. So Gandhiji, he gave the word Garijan. So by that, the double voting system of Ambedkar, proposed by Ambedkar, was saturated. I think the problem we have in India about caste, about religion, about gender, it's all there in the 1930s, 1920s, 1940s, 1950s. So those things are not addressed at all. So who are the people who try to address this question? So if you take Pule, I think Pabara sir mentioned about Pule, so I just briefly summarize. In 1852, 1860s, he started education for the girl students. I think both Savitri Pule and Jyotiba Pule, they experienced much trauma in their life, and they opened their well for common people. So anybody from any caste, they can access the well. I think in my village, even when I was in school, the Dalit people will not be able to take water from the public well. So they have to come with their kodam, that pot. They have to stand outside the well premises, and somebody comes. They don't come, okay, there are some people standing, we will go and give water. No. If I am going to fetch water, then I will give them. Suppose I was busy. Suppose my mother had something in the kitchen. So I put sambar, is in the process. So she won't be able to give water to other people. So she will say, no, I have some important emergency work. So you wait for other person to come. So they have to wait for somebody to come to give water from the public. It is in, I think, 1990s or 2000. So this is the case, I think, in several places in India, across the country, this will be the case. Okay, and so the caste dimension is not addressed at all. But Jyotiba Phule, people like Jyotiba Phule, in Kerala we have Narayana Guru, Ayyangali, and Poyagi Lapachan. These three people, and maybe probably others also, they actually addressed this problem. They opened schools. So first thing is, these movements, like in Tamil Nadu, we have Ayya Vaigundar, somebody called Muthukutti. He founded similar thing like Narayana Guru. And he himself created a cult. Okay, don't go to the temple. You yourself is a god, he said. So these people try to not just to address the social question, they actually address the nation, that we also belong. We also need, so generally we call them as a social reforming movements. Samuga Sirdirtha Iyakkam, in Tamil we say Samuga Sirdirtham. Social reform movement. It is not social reform movements. It is actually, the question is addressed towards the nation, that we also belong to this nation. So you give equal rights. So Phule actually started women's education in 1850s. Somewhere in, I think, 1900s, there was an application to the Madras St. George College. A student from Parayar community wanted to study in Fort St. George College. It is 1900, around the time. So there was a discussion among the officials of the college whether we can accommodate this student into the college. So the English people doesn't have any problem, but the Upadhyayas, the teachers, have a problem, because they all belongs, there was no Brahmin, I think. There was no Brahmin teacher, but the Vellalas, Mudaliyars, all other upper caste teachers were there. So they were the teachers. So they said, if you accommodate this student, we won't teach. We will go out. So the student was not admitted. So this is the condition of so the nation is not willing to share the space, the collective cultural space, equally with others. You take Manusmriti, what it says, women should not be educated. The Dalit people should not be educated. By the moment they hear the Sanskrit, you got to put some boiling iron into their ears. This is what mentioned Manusmriti. So the same practice, whether it is they followed Manusmriti or not, the other communities, they followed this. So Periyar, Narayana Guru, Pule actually addressed this question. So they tried to bring the other communities, who are all the others, maybe Muslims, maybe Dalits, maybe women. So these are all cultural others to bring into the national fold. But they were termed as social reformers. Okay, you keep aside. We also give space to you. But so that is why Periyar did not celebrate 1947. He said it is a black day. Karuppu Dinam, he said. I don't celebrate 1947 because it is simply transfer of power from the British people to the elites of the Savarnas of the Indian state. So that is what happening even now. If you take media industry, how much percentage of lower caste Muslims or backward caste are there in the topmost? Maybe less than 1%. You take Hindu, you take Indian Express, you take Times of India, you take any newspaper, the leading national papers, who are the authorities in the management level? Maybe less than 1% will be there in the, and even those people who are there will be Neo-Savana, Neo-Brahmins. They cannot be remain what is their condition. So that is the case. Okay, there are other things with the territories. So I bring two particular stories. In 1960, there was a committee on emotional integration. Okay, so India got freedom after 13 years. So there was no unity of India. So how you can create a sameness feeling? The people from Tamil Nadu and people from Punjab should feel that we belong to the nation. But that feeling is not there. So how to create that feeling? So instead of addressing the caste question or language question or the religion question, they just try to bring out a procedure. So how to bring it? Just like UGC is trying to bring some procedures for quality improvement. Like you have a doctoral committee, you have a series of 2-3 doctoral committees, then the quality automatically come. It will not come. So same thing happened when the emotional integration committee happened. So all the education ministers of the states were assembled and invited to participate, and they said how to bring the nation to exist. How to make a Bengali, Punjabi, Marathi, Malayali or a Kannadiga to feel that they are Indians, to share a common. So again the opposition came from Tamil Nadu. They said we want a separate state. We don't want an Indian nation because you didn't address our problems. So we want Dravida Nadu. So there was like discussion, why your people are saying like this. So they were saying that Agastya myth, they are bringing the Agastya myth. So Agastya, the sage, was sent to south when there was a marriage between Shiva and Parvati was happening. So the north is going up, the south is going down. So to balance this thing, they sent Agastya to the south. So the Agastya never returned to North India. So like Ramayana, Rama went towards south. So he traveled to South India. So we have a common similarities. So people are always like talking about this sectarianism. So for them, Ramayana is a story of integration. But for others, for South Indians, it is kind of an Aryanization of the South Indian geography. So that is what interpreted, I think, Seligman, I think he gives this interpretation that in South, the Ramayana myth is interpreted as a Ram is capturing in the South Indian landscape, including Sri Lanka. And who is Ravana? Who is this Asuras whom Ram fought with? So they are all Dravidian tribes. And this Ravana was a Tamil king who is a Saivite. So how can you say that this is a kind of a integration motive? So when I was in JNU, we went to a field work in Varanasi. So there was Ram Leela performance, a kind of a historical thing happening from 14th century, 16th century onwards, based on Tulsidas text of Ramcharitamanas. So there was a theatre scholar, a very legendary scholar called Richard Schechner. He came and we accidentally met him with our professor. And we got a debate, we got a discussion on many things. There was one issue that why Ravana went to the war even though he knows that he will be killed. He won't be able to, because all his brothers, he lost his entire army. Like nothing is left. So Ram is ready to forgive. Okay, you go. But he doesn't accept it. So he comes to the war the next day. So this question was brought into the things. So there was a interpretation that Ravana realized that Ram is a god, okay, avatar of Vishnu. So he wanted by getting killed by Ram, he can merge with. So this is the usual interpretation which is given to all the asuras, that after death they will be part of the Vishnu, the greater entity. I said, no, that is not the case. He is a king. As a king, you got to follow Yuddha Dharma. Whether you lose, whether you win, you need to go to the war. The second thing is, he is a Saivate. He may not want to merge with Vishnu. He may want to merge with Shiva. I think there is a very famous mantra, no? Like Bhagavali also, that mantra it is actually composed by Ravana. That is a Ravana mantra. So that is Shiva's Tada. This is kind of a different sound. I think if you watch Bhagavali, yeah, same thing. This is actually Ravana, composed by Ravana. So whether he will be interested to join with Vishnu? No. Vishnu and Shiva are totally opposite. They are not the same forces. So the another incident is, so here the myth is interpreted as history. They wanted, so the next day, the funny thing is, the next day when we went to board the train, all my classmates went inside and I was the late to join with them. I went inside the train and I was about to keep my things. And one of my classmates said, now the Dravidian comes. Okay? So even if you have a different argument, you are termed as Dravidian. Okay? You don't belong to this nation of India because they are saying that we are Aryans. I didn't say. So when you say I am Dravidian, then you are non-Dravidian. No. So who is non-Dravidian? Definitely Aryan. I didn't say that. I didn't bring that Aryan debate. So that's an interesting thing from Sri Lanka. In 1981, there was this very Black July incident. I think most of you may remember. The Jaffna Library is the cultural resource of Sri Lankan history, not Tamil history. Sri Lankan history was burned to ashes. So it has many manuscripts of Tamil, Sinhala, and Pali. So all different languages. They have resources. So if you think Tamils are your enemies, you can destroy Tamils. You can kill Tamils. But why you want to burn the library? So they are actually the very presence of the minority itself is a threat to the nation. I think that is what happening. This is a MSS Pondian article. He says the nation is an impossible project, especially in the countries like India. So the very presence, I think this is Arjun Apatrai's book title, The Fear of Small Numbers. So taking from Arjun Apatrai, Pandian is saying that the very presence of minorities, actually the majority people, they feel threat. If you take population-wise, how much will be the population of Malayalis? How much will be the population of Telugus? How much will be population of Tamils? I think we don't come together at all for any reason when compared to Hindi. So Hindi population is much larger than the South Indian or the other Punjabis or Bengalis. And we belonging to different linguistic communities, we won't be able to come together and fight with her. So why the majority? Suppose I am thinking I am bold. Why should I be afraid? I should not get afraid, no? But no. So who is the enemy of BJP? It is Muslims. Without Muslims, BJP cannot do any politics in India. Actually, there is a serious problem in Arunachal Pradesh. The BJP tries not to address that because if you cannot touch China, okay? You cannot touch China in any way. When there was a problem in the border, either the Prime Minister or the Defense Minister, never they went to. I think I remember during George Fernandez, when George Fernandez was the Defense Minister, I think he visited many times to the frontiers, the borders of India and Pakistan, India and China. But I think our leaders, the present day leaders, they are powerful government. I think I'm feeling, compared to Vajpayee government, there's a union, that's a merging of many conglomeration, many parties. I think BJP is very powerful in terms of majority, numerical majority. But they didn't feel like going there. Our Home Minister doesn't feel that, our Defense Minister doesn't feel courage to go to the war field when the war was going on between India and Chinese troops. So the majority actually is kind of a myth. You don't feel brave enough to face the numerically few minorities. So then the question is how to make the nation possible. I think here is I try to bring this important work by Jnana Aloysius, Nationalism Without a Nation in India. He says this whole nationalism idea is there was definitely nationalism, but there was no nation at all. Nationalism without a nation. There was no imagination of nation during the entire period of nationalist movement, even after that. So how to bring nation to exist? You have to accommodate different communities, Gujaratis, Malayalis, Tamils, Bengalis, Punjabis. And you have to accommodate different communities, Dalits, tribals, women, sexually oriented people, or linguistic minorities, ethnic minorities, regional minorities. If you address this question seriously, then the nation will emerge. I think the DMK, whenever this question is brought out, they will say, okay, you are against India. No, it is not like. So Annathrai said, we are not against India. We are against Hindi, but we support Republic. So Kudiyarasu Vonguga, Hindi Oliga. This is the statement they made. We are not against Indian Union, but we are against imposition of Hindi in us. If somebody wants to learn Hindi, let him learn. So when the British missionaries came, whether it is Robert D. Nebeli or Henry Hendricks, they all learned Tamil. So when a Tamilian goes to Delhi, he learns Hindi. When he goes to Bengal, he learns Bengali. Same thing when a Bengali or a Jharkhand or a Bihari comes to Kerala, they learn Malayali, no? They learn Malayalam. So what is the problem? Why we need to? So there is a thing that, okay, if you learn Hindi, you will get a job. All the Hindi continent people are coming to South India to get a job. So why should the South Indians need to learn Hindi to get a job? We ourselves are in a better state. No? So there was a recent debate that South Indian states needs to, if they are separate country, they can be included in the developed nations. If you travel into Bihar, you will realize that. If you travel into Gujarat, you will realize that. If you travel into UP, you will realize that. If you travel into West Bengal, you will realize that. Because I traveled into all those states. Purulia, yesterday I was in the train from Tirunelveli to Purulia. I was like, so much memories of our field work in Purulia. If you happen to, so we traveled through UP and Bihar. I traveled across Kerala. Even remote place you go, I think in Malappuram district, I have traveled in Marudakadu, very remote places. You go wherever, there is electricity, there is a school, there is a chayakada, there is everything available. You go to Bihar, even a place, Muzaffarpur, like very big place, you won't get, the things may not be the similar like the South India is. Better infrastructure, better educational facilities, better health facilities. So the nation actually is possible by including the language, by including the gender question seriously, by including all differences into that. But the Indian nation is yet to address that question. So in India, I think as far as the majoritarian democracy is, nation is impossible. So it is always a failed project. I conclude but we try to cope with that majority. We try to accept that majority of the North Indian democracy to us. We don't have any problem with that. So we are very generous people. Okay, we are very generous. We are very open. Okay, let's accept that reality. That's how we live. But nation is always a failed project in India as far as this trend is continued. So I take this opportunity once again to thank the principal, vice principal, madam. I think the morning when I went to see, said folklore. Okay, there is always whenever I go, I have to explain my department. I think madam knows what is folklore is. And since he's from Malayalam department, it's very close. And like she said, I came to this place, Kodungalur. Kodungalur is always a nostalgia for me. I think in the Cheran Shangutuvan established the second, maybe Mangaladevi, people say Mangaladevi is the first, Kodungalur is the second, whatever it may be. So Kodungalur is one of the sacred sphere for Jaina thing. Now it is brought into Hindu Bhagavati cult. So this is another dimension of our democracy. We try to bring everything, Buddhism, Jainism as part of Hindu religious thing. So that's what happening in all our spheres. So I have visited always this place for Kodungalur, Thiruvanjakulam Shiva Temple, Cheraman Masjid, St. Thomas Church, and this Kodungalur folk classical shrine. And I happen to be there in the Kodungalur Bharani, that Meenam Bharani festival also. I try to visit those places. I think since Munir is here, I can visit freely. And I am also planning to take my students here, 2 places, one in Cochin and others Kodungalur. So you are all gifted people to be in Kodungalur. I really feel you are all very gifted people. Being in Kodungalur itself is a very historical place. And the other thing I forgot, Pattanam excavation. So there is lots of things happening around this thing. So I take this opportunity to thank Munir and madam and the principal madam, all of you, especially the students. I think I have taken more time, and the teachers and all other outside friends. I think I have taken more time. So I'm happy if there is any questions. Thank you very much.